Good morning. My name is, of course, Adeyemi Candide-Johnson. I'm a lawyer. I was called to the Nigerian bar in 1984. So this is my 38th year of active legal practice in Nigeria. This is my 19th year as a senior advocate of Nigeria. I also practice internationally as a commercial arbitrator. I've been a member of the General Council of the Nigerian Bar Association, member of the NEC of the Nigerian Bar Association, chairman of the MBA section on business law, chairman of the disciplinary committee, member of the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee. I've been president of the Nigerian Bar of the Lagos Court of Arbitration, and I'm also the chairman of the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company. So I'm not applying for a job. Rather, I'm setting the context for some of the experiences that I've had in the legal profession, which might make some of my insight today relevant to my younger professional self, which is the task that I've been given. The first thing I think is that one cannot give any type of advice about a thing unless one knows something of its purpose, as well as something of the aspiration of the user. So I will often ask young lawyers why they are lawyers and what they want to do. We need to think about the potential of a legal career and the motivation of a person who embarks upon it. Very often you will hear it said, why do we need more lawyers? And this is a very cynical approach to our profession. The popular culture focuses on litigation and the trial process as the central thing that lawyers do. In fact, a portrait of lawyers as courtroom gladiators unfairly diminishes the work and function of most lawyers. On the whole, it is a lawyer's job to create, find, interpret, adapt, apply, and enforce rules and principles that structure human relationships. We need specialists who create, interpret, apply, and enforce rules and principles that enable people to work together, because it does not come naturally to human beings to work together. It is notorious that conflict amongst individuals, factions, and groups in human society is inevitable. The American constitutionalist, James Madison, writing in the Federalist Papers, number 10, some people have read that, declared that factions are sewn into the nature of man. They are factions of passion that divide people by their deepest principles, religious beliefs, and morals. And they're factions of interest that divide people according to the line of work, wealth, and expectations in society. Society needs to find ways to coordinate people's activities across that conflict. So the role of a lawyer in creating order is beyond courtroom practice. It is beyond the passage of formal laws and regulations. It extends into the rules and procedures lawyers create in private relationships, making private and business contracts also prospectively intend to settle disputes among factions which may arise. Lawyers offer counseling and planning services to anticipate future conflict and make sure that their clients are prepared in the event of such conflict. Outside the courtroom, many lawyers resolve disputes in alternative forms: arbitration, mediation, and private settlement. So lawyers are therefore a fundamental component of society. Their role is to protect you when you're harmed and defend you when you're accused. You should feel more secure if you can be sure that the law has your back. Now, a particular set of skills is required for a lawyer to do this. Many of these things are taught in law schools, many are not. A lawyer must have intellectual and cognitive abilities, analysis and reasoning, using logic, analytical skills, and good reasoning to produce solid conclusions and to give advice. A lawyer must have problem-solving skills to identify and analyze problems and provide clear solutions. Practical judgment, approaching a problem realistically and rationally. A lawyer must be creative and innovative, think outside the box, and have multiple perspectives on a single problem. A lawyer should have research and information gathering skills to be able to question and interview, obtain necessary information needed to pursue a case. This is a skill by itself. Researching the law, drawing from credible sources and past strategies to utilize in the current case. Fact-finding, the ability to highlight relevant facts in line with case law. Communication skills, speaking, communicating professionally and articulately to relevant parties, listening accurately to discern what is being said directly and implicitly, to influence and advocate. Persuasive and convincing skills are contained in writing academically, clearly, planning and organizing. A lawyer should be able to strategize, to be able to avoid missteps and surprises, and to see how to organize the progress of a case and a dispute, for example. Organizing your own work, scheduling methods to ensure good work and desirable results. These are all skills which lawyers may not learn in law school, but will have to learn as they make progress through organizing a successful legal career. Conflict resolution is often regarded as the primary skill or task of a lawyer. Negotiation, the ability to resolve disputes while pleasing all parties involved. The ability to see the world through the eyes of others, understanding, being compassionate, being objective. These are important skills. Client relationships, networking, business development, providing advice, counsel, and building relationships with clients. The picture I'm painting, I think, is of an individual who has skill, who has knowledge, who has comportment, who has authority by the way he conducts himself. Because these tasks that lawyers are set in society require an individual who is trusted, both for his skill and, as I will come to ultimately, for his character and of his integrity. Now, lawyers have to work with others. They have to develop relationships within the profession. They have to build connections with others and strive towards a shared goal. Collaboration is very important in legal practice. They have to be able to teach others based on their capability and to help them achieve their own potential. But the aspect of a lawyer's equipment, which I think I would like to highlight most importantly, is character. I think that character and ethics is fundamental. If you're to be trusted, you have to be trustworthy. You have to have integrity. You have to have honesty. You have to act with moral correctness. You have to involve yourself in the aspirations of the community. You have to display passion about interest in the law and about its ability to solve problems. You have to exhibit diligence, responsibility, and these are the things that achieve goals. Of course, it's extremely stressful, very difficult. You have to be able to manage yourself and your own emotions, not losing your temper, not losing control. And you have to develop yourself all the time. A prime task of every lawyer, in my opinion, every professional, is constant and consistent improvement. Reading, thinking, talking, attending events, exposing yourself to the thoughts and thinking of other people. Now, ethics, professionalism, and the practice of law, in my opinion, are intricate. It's important to mention this in a place like Nigeria, where commercial objectives and the desire to make money is often considered to be more important than the ethical perspective with which you conduct yourself. In my experience, unethical behavior does not pay. In my experience, you cannot build reputation and authority if people think that you're a liar, a thief, or a cheat. I think that many people on the street consider that this is what lawyers are, that they lie, they cheat, and they steal. This is not my impression, and I do not think that this is a path to a successful legal career. In my opinion, legal career is all about your reputation. When people come to you, they come to you expecting certain things about your skill and your ability, but they expect that you are somebody that they can trust, that will not deceive or defraud your clients, and will not deceive or defraud even the lawyer or individual on the other side. Personally, I've been into negotiations more than once where the lawyer for the other side wasn't present, and I was told on one occasion by a very important Nigerian that he was happy to continue the negotiations in the presence of my client and myself, even though his lawyer was not present, because he said, I know who you are, I know your integrity, I know that you are impartial, quote unquote. Of course, I'm acting for my own clients, but you should have the capacity to see fairly if you want to find a solution in any situation. Now, generally speaking, 4 traits characterize a profession: a specialized body of knowledge, a commitment to the social good, an ability to regulate itself, and high social status. Lawyers have that. With the professional specialized knowledge comes power. The public requires that that power is used for social good. So ethics should function as the core of a lawyer's practice. Without ethics, true professionalism and good lawyering will elude us. To be a professional requires professional ethics, and a failure to master the skills of professional ethics signals a failure to be professional. Now, I've given many speeches to lawyers, especially young lawyers, about what is expected of them in the profession. I'm sure I repeat myself when I speak about ethics. But having said enough about that, I'd like to highlight 2 additional aspects of the work of a lawyer, which I wish I had had when I was a young lawyer. One is the specialization. As our law becomes more complicated and becomes more vast, you cannot master to any effective degree every aspect of law. There are lawyers who have done leases and recovery of property for 30 years, and they have a matter involving factorization or a matter involving space law, and they will tell you they can do it. Joint operating agreements with respect to an oil field, and they will say they can do it. Well, this is not responsible, and it is not safe. And taking on work which you don't have the ability to do is a breach of professional conduct. Because when you take on work, you promise to your client that you have the skill and the ability. If you don't, you have defrauded your client. So specialization is important, and there's so many fields in which lawyers can specialize and earn a satisfactory reward. Now, the other points which I think the status of the world requires lawyers to concentrate upon is the use of technology. I've spoken about this again at Nigerian Bar Association events. The fact is that technology, we all heard about the 4th Industrial Revolution and how AI is disrupting professions and practices across the world. The law itself is being disrupted. I pointed out the opinion of Professor Richard Susskind recently and of McKinsey, that in less than 10 years, 60% to 70% by value of legal work will be done by machines. As some of you may know, the University of London invented an AI program which competed against the European Court of Justice, and in 85% of the cases, it reached exactly the same verdict. When I told this to judges at a conference a few years ago, they responded with alarm. What work are we left to do? Well, you have to make use of technology or you will be left behind. In some countries, in America, in California, Florida, for example, it is considered to be professional misconduct if a lawyer does not have mastery and understanding of basic legal technology. So you're going to have to do that as well. So specialization, technology, and character. These are the things that I have learned from many years in the legal profession, which I think will be of use to lawyers today. And on that note, I'd just like to commend to you some of these thoughts, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. I hope I'm within my 20 minutes.
I think you've actually you are way you saved us some time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So if we do have any questions, you can put that in the chat box. We still have about 5 minutes or so. So if you do have any questions, you can put that in the chat box. But thank you so much for the points that you've highlighted. I mean, on the issue of technology, I mean, that of course is affecting all of us. I mean, if anyone had told us that we'll be having this kind of meeting 4 years ago, I mean, no, probably nobody would even sign up. But then here we are today. All right, so want to thank you once again. So if you have any questions, please, you can put that in the chat box, and then I would read that out. Okay, so I think I have one here. Just give me a second. All right, so So Puruchi is asking, is it okay? Okay, now the questions keep flooding in. Is it okay to know what one's area of specialization is at the time of finishing law school?
It's possible to have an interest. Look, if your father runs an IP practice, it's likely that you have been exposed to it in a way that may pique your interest. So it's possible. But it would be unusual for a lawyer to have a specialization fixed before they start practice. Very often, this would be the result of where you go to practice, where you find interest. Again, I said lawyers need to keep their mind open and continue to learn. I mean, any day that I don't learn is a useless day. And people who think that they know it all, know nothing. So in the course of your career, you will come across opportunities, you will come across ideas. And if you're open to them, you will find something that grabs your interest. When it takes your interest, you will know it. And as you continue to develop your skill and experience and continue to network and expose that skill and experience, you will find that you can make a profit from that area that you enjoy. There's no point in working if you don't enjoy what you're doing.
Right. Thank you so much. All right. I think correlatedly, there's another question here that says, when is it advisable to opt for specialization? That's from Queenette.
Well, then let me refine the point I made earlier on. Nigeria professionals divided primarily, transactional lawyers and litigation and dispute resolution lawyers. It's possible to have an interest in a specific broad area. You want to do dispute resolution, you want to do transactions. That is fine. But apart from that, I think that the stage at which you're special, if I remember, so please clarify the second question again.
So when is it advisable to opt for specialization?
Okay, right, because I was mixing it up with the first one.
Yes.
Well, it's not a time thing. I think that as soon as you can, I would have thought within the first 5 years, a lawyer should know where their interest lies and where they want to specialize.
Okay, great. So I have this other question from Mausi, and she's asking, and she says, how can a young lawyer go against the unprofessional instruction of the boss? I just hope your boss is not on the call. Did you get the question, sir?
Yes, well, that's a big problem. Very often I gave a presentation a couple of years ago about corruption in international commercial arbitration, which is an area of law which is developing very effectively because it's recognized that commercial disputes are often afflicted right from their conception with corruption, and the system of justice should not validate corrupt contracts. So that becomes an issue where a great deal of professional regulation and jurisprudence is developing. But then at that event, somebody asked me, how do you manage to not do something corrupt or unethical when your boss asks you to do it? It's a difficult question. In life, we will always face ethical and moral conundrums. You will have to decide in any situation what is the right thing for you to do. And that depends on your own strength of character, sometimes your economic situation, because some people feel that they have no choice. But ultimately, we're each responsible for our own moral decisions. I think that, the idea makes my head start spinning that a senior lawyer would instruct another lawyer to carry out or to take action which is unlawful or corrupt, unethical. And I know it happens. That is a failure of leadership. And it's something that, very often I tell people that when you speak about things that are wrong, especially in a country like Nigeria, it's important because otherwise people will think that what is wrong is normal. And too often, anything that seems intellectual or analytical or insightful or thoughtful is regarded as a waste of time. I don't think it is. My own life and career has not taught me that that is the situation. And so all I can say is that a senior who instructs you to carry out an unlawful or corrupt act is unfit, he is unprofessional, he has misconducted himself, he has misled you, he's not fit to be practicing law, and that it is a matter for your own moral judgment and your own ultimate responsibility, because many a times, a young lawyer has been asked to do something for deniability on the part of his principal. You will be sacrificed. Bear that in mind, that if this matter becomes critical and it is subject to inquiry, you will be sacrificed. So bear that risk in mind when you are considering the moral perspective to take. It's not just about being moral and being high-minded. It's about self-preservation. If you want to create your own career based on stealing and cheating and deception, I think that your future will not be very bright.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask one. There's I have a floor of questions here, but let me put this one in. And if I don't put out your question, please know that you can always bring that. You can always bring that up when you are meeting with your mentor during the mentoring session. This is from Miriam. She says, "What attracts people to litigation is the end result, which is to become senior advocates, which is a major game changer for one's brand. What end results can be developed for others' specializations that can equate the rank of Sanchez?" Is that clear?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think that the purpose of going into litigation is to become a senior advocate. Personally, I know dozens of lawyers who are not senior advocates of Nigeria who are manifestly better lawyers than lawyers who are. The rank of senior advocate in Nigeria is a professional preference, but it's based on discretion by a few people. There are a variety of ways in which that discretion can be exercised, and it is not guaranteed that in any particular year that the best available lawyers will be made senior advocates. So just like the best available administrator may not be governor of your state, but the process by which a governor is produces a certain type of individual. So that's one thing. It's a position of leadership. But when I said at the beginning of my speaking that I asked people what they want, why they want to be lawyers, what they want to achieve. If you want to solve problems, if you want to defend and save people, if you want to restore peace, order, that is one reason why you go into dispute resolution. If you happen to obtain the accolade of being of a particular rank, then that's a cherry on the pie. I don't think that, certainly when I started practice, I assumed that if I worked hard enough, I could attain any possible rank. But this was not my motivation. My motivation each day was how to solve the legal problem on hand, to apply my analysis, my skill, my judgment, and my intellectual capacity to solving problems. This is what gives delight, not in parading around in a fancy robe. Now, as to whether other lawyers who are not in litigation can achieve this sort of recognition, well, I think I've already pointed out that the recognition is less important than the results that you achieve. There are transaction lawyers I know also. Sometimes some of them are enticed to think they also want to be, and have friends who say we want to be given senior advocate or senior whatever they call it for their own rank. And this is just these are trinkets. The power and the achievement of a transaction lawyer is in the result in the commercial field, is in the organization of solutions. And I might say that I know a lot of transactional lawyers who, as a class, I would say transactional lawyers in Nigeria are higher earners than most senior advocates of Nigeria. So if what you want is money to buy expensive shoes, well, that's an accolade. Take that.
Okay. All right, I have what let me put in this last question, and it feels like I'm in court. It says that, thank you very much, Leonard Silk. This is from, let me see who this is from. This is from Tomilola. I noted that you stated that presenting to potential clients they are capable to carry an instruction that is not within your specialization is unethical. Does this mean that you do not subscribe to lawyers learning on the job? I would argue that if you're willing to do the research and speak to colleagues with experience, you should take the brief also. This is a way to build knowledge.
Well, it's a perspective. when a client comes to you, for example, a client comes to me and says to me, I want you to do my divorce. And I say to him, well, I don't really do divorce cases. I specialize in commercial arbitration and construction arbitration. And he says, yes, I know, but I trust you. I like you. And I know that you will give me the advice that I require. Then it's clear that he wants my personal intervention in the case. It's important to let your client know what is the extent of your skill. The point I'm making is that if you pretend to a certain skill and you fail, or you are negligent to prefer a certain skill means that you will be held to the standards that you have preferred. If you cannot meet those standards, then it's not about learning for the job. It's not your client's job to train you. You're supposed to be trained under your mentors and under your professional leaders in the firm. They should guide you when you start a case. If I give a lawyer a case on a transaction that I think that they're not familiar with, I'm going to read every single piece of work they do before it goes out, whether it's burdensome or not, but that is a training for them. So if you have that sort of guidance, of course you can take anything you're learning. It's not learning on the job. It is a systematized impartation of knowledge that somebody is supervising you. But if you turn up and say, I can do this thing, my uncle was recently made the Minister for Technology, and I'm now going to draft an internet and data transfer agreement. Well, that's incompetence, that's negligent, and it's likely professional misconduct.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much. That's all we can take. Thank you very much, Mr. Candide-Johnson. So grateful for your time today, and I'm hoping that one day I'll get to see you face to face.
I look forward to that. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed myself, and greetings to all your participants.